And
Hi,
Sarah.
Sarah. Here we go.
Okay, so we'll start following up what we started yesterday, this idea of self-kindness or self-compassion. We will start with a brief meditation, following along these lines. And then today we will explore also how to extend this this natural tendency we have of caring ourselves, taking care of ourselves and taking care of others, which it's really highly related to highly interconnected, dependent on each other. You take care of yourself, and naturally you take care of others. Taking care of others in a healthy way, you also end up taking care of yourself. The problem is that sometimes, because of culture or education, we end up understanding this taking care of others in a way that might be unhealthy. And then instead of taking care of others that has a positive effect on us, we end up taking care of others, sacrificing our well being, our values, and so on. Today, we will explore how this taking care of others is understood in the context of Buddhism.
So we can start maybe with a meditation, taking up from where we left it yesterday. Let's start by taking a few moments in silence to settle down, to become aware of where we are, our body, our mind, how we're feeling right now, with a mind of recognition, of acceptance of wherever experience comes up. Acknowledging how we're feeling right now, how the body is feeling. And as long as we can, we look at it with an open and caring mind, caring, accepting mind. And if it's helpful, we can take a couple of deep breaths, 2, 3 deep breaths, inhaling in depth, and then exhaling slowly, letting go of tension. As we exhale, And following for a while this coming and going of the breath within the body as a way of coming here, of settling down. We can acknowledge, become aware of our deep potential as human beings that we all have. We have this inner potential for care, for experiencing love, compassion towards ourselves, towards others. For experiencing joy in our minds. Inner clarity and openness in our minds and hearts. Even if we're not there all the time, we can recognize that we do have this potential as human beings. We can recall some moments in which we experience this. A sense of care, for instance, for ourselves, for others, or someone else taking care of us, or a sense of friendship towards someone. Let this experience be here with you. And if you wish, you can imagine it in the form of light, light that fills your heart. It spreads through your body, entirely filling your body, your mind with this light. You may express this wish that we all have to be happy and not to suffer, also in form of thoughts, of words that we tell to ourselves. This experience of love, of joy, of wherever you need this light. Maybe expressed also in form of thoughts. May I find right conditions to discover all my inner potential, to find inner strength, wisdom, compassion, wherever you need. May I find peace. May I be happy. Wherever you need, you may express it in this way. You may imagine yourself in your life being there, activating these inner capacities, this inner potential. Now and whenever you need it, in particular circumstances in life, for instance. Let it just be there in form of this experience and light that completely fills you up, body and mind, heart. You may also imagine that this light goes out from your body. It stays in your body, but radiates from your body all around, touching all the beings around you. who also experience this capacity for love, feeling joy, inner strength, and peace wherever they need. So may this short meditation, these moments we are sharing together, and life in general, accompany us into that direction, the direction of discovering our inner potential more and more, and being able to activate all our inner qualities. For the benefit of ourselves and of others as well.
Billions of countless people who have looked inwards, contemplatives, people who has had the curiosity to explore their inner world. The conclusions they reach is that as human beings, we have a huge potential. We all want to be happy. No one wants to suffer. Yet, trying to be happy, sometimes we destroy the happiness we have, the satisfaction we have, and instead we find suffering, dissatisfaction, not wanting to suffer. We end up sometimes out of ignorance, out of not knowing how to do it better, harming ourselves and others. The discovery is that this drama, which is the drama of all sentient beings, except those who have looked inside and have discovered this drama and the solution to this ignorance, who have developed the wisdom that dispels this ignorance, this lack of knowledge about our mind, the potential of the mind for well-being, satisfaction, and so on. The discovery is that there is hope, because what we want, happiness and satisfaction, in a way, are there, waiting for us to be discovered inside the potential of our mind. This potential can be accessed when we stop trying to find happiness out there in things that cannot provide us with happiness. And we end up dissatisfied, feeling empty because we cannot find what we want, and instead, oftentimes, we find the opposite. They discover that there's a way to reach, to connect with this inner potential. It includes letting go of expectations about finding this outside. And it includes another thing, which is natural in human beings, connecting with our potential for care. To connect with a mind that is much more gentle, soft, that sees the beauty in others, in oneself. When in Buddhism we find mentions about loving kindness, love, and so on, we are referring to a kind of mind that when sees a person, be this person oneself or another person, sees some beauty in this person. And we are not talking about physical beauty. Sees the being with, with a way of looking at this being in which there's beauty, and therefore I cannot harm that being. Because to me, it's there's beauty in that being. And when I look at myself, I see the same. I'm not going to hurt myself because I'm just another sentient being who wants to be happy, not to suffer. Love, it's just this. It's what naturally arises towards our beloved beings. They might not be the nicest person in the world, they might not be the kindest person in the world, yet we see some beauty in them. Even when they get upset, we are able to forgive them because we see some beauty in them. So this is important to understand when here we will talk about love and compassion. We have to bear in mind that what we understand about love and compassion might not be what Buddhism says about these qualities, and that we translate as love and compassion. In Sanskrit, the words that we translate as love and compassion have slightly different meanings than the meanings that we give oftentimes to love and compassion. Okay, so today we will explore this because then we might discover that the concept of love and compassion in Buddhism makes sense to us. And it's not in conflict with taking care of ourselves, putting limits, stopping others when they try to harm us, not sacrifice ourselves for others, and so on.
So we started with some self-compassion and here, like this recognition that we want to be happy, not to suffer. So if we, as we were saying yesterday, if we add more harshness there, we suffer more. We tend to suffer more. Is harshness in the sense of being harsh to ourselves, being putting ourselves down, and so on. Instead of this, we can just transform this, make another movement here with our mind. Is maybe happy, but truly happy. Find this source of happiness within, and it's not so complicated. We have had some moments in which we felt more joyful, for instance, in which we had more inner strength, a sense of more inner freedom, inner clarity, for instance, or love. We felt more friendship toward ourselves, towards others. And what we do here is just we recall these moments, we bring this experience here with us, even if it's not very intense, very big, but we know what this is, and we stay there with this. And we can give this to ourselves. We can imagine it in form of light. We can imagine it in form of words that we say to ourselves. And the more we get there, the more we activate these neuronal circuits also of well-being and of inner capacity for love and so on. And then we share it. We share it with others, starting maybe with people who are closer to us.
We will see this in detail in the slides we've prepared, as an introduction. And before going to these things just to recall what we saw yesterday, which is very important, especially if we recognize that we suffer of this harshness towards ourselves or lack of healthy self-esteem. We remember that there were three adverse conditions that prevent us to develop this kind of kindness and compassionate attitude towards ourselves. Harsh self-criticism, it's one of them. It doesn't mean that self-criticism is a bad thing. Certain self-criticism is good. Being aware of your limitations and recognize them and apologize when we act out of these limitations, and that's healthy. But here we are talking about harsh self-criticism, in which there is a punitive attitude. I punish myself because I don't like what I've done. I don't like what I think, and all these kind of attitudes. That's not healthy. This kind of attitude is an obstacle to develop this kindness and compassion towards oneself. And as I said before, in the context of Buddhism, if you don't feel kindness and compassion towards yourself, the kindness and compassion you feel towards others gets also impaired. It gets also affected, because then you end up at some point placing the same kind of harsh judgments onto others. Okay, maybe not onto certain people, but you are at risk of having the same kind of attitude with others. Then the sense of isolation, when we think that we are the only ones with these limitations and difficulties, and we end up closed upon ourselves. Then over identification, when we are not able to focus the mind on something else, that it's not our distressing thoughts and feelings. These are all natural things. We shouldn't feel guilty if we have these adverse conditions, but recognizing that they are causing us trouble, we can develop the counteracting attitudes of self-kindness, the sense of common humanity, and mindfulness. And just to introduce this concept of taking care of ourselves, that it's compatible. It's not only it's compatible; it goes together with taking care of yourself. It's like two sides of the same coin. It's the same kind of attitudes, only that sometimes we focus them onto others, and sometimes I focus them on myself. But it's the same kind of attitudes with no distinction. This comes from an Indian master that says that moistened by love, your mind becomes like friable, fertile soil. When you plant the seed of compassion, it grows easily and bountifully. Therefore, after you infuse your mind with love, cultivate compassion. But here I think it's worth to mention what it's meant by compassion here. No one of us wants to suffer, we all want to be happy. Love, as explained in Buddhism, it's making explicit this wish to be happy. When we wish someone to be happy, we are feeling the love that it's mentioned in this context. I wish you well. I wish you happiness. That's love. I wish myself well. I wish myself happiness. And I do it with the kind of mind that naturally arises in myself when I take care of a beloved one. So there's no pain, there's joy in this wish. Okay, because we might wish happiness, but from pain, from sorrow, from frustration. Here it's this wish that comes along this sense of joy, like I wish this, I deserve this, I want this for me, I want this for others. Okay, and compassion, it's the remedy, it's the antidote to suffering. We all suffer. Rejection tries to turn ourselves away from suffering, but sometimes suffering doesn't go away. So turning our faces and rejecting suffering, oftentimes it doesn't work. So compassion is the healthy way to deal with suffering, in which we are able, because compassion gives us this strength to look at suffering and then do what we naturally do when we see someone suffering, maybe a beloved one. there is something inside us that pushes us to do something for this person, and we feel great when we do so. It's part of our potential for care. I see the small baby falling on the ground, crying, and I take the baby and I console the baby. That's compassion. Okay, we will see also what it's
Mm.
not compassion.
Mm. And it's mainly not only bring this to action, but also mainly a mental state, this wish that the suffering is relieved and the causes of suffering are relieved as well.
And of course, it applies to others, it applies to oneself. So I see my suffering, and instead of rejecting it, burying it, I learn how to handle it using this energy of love, using this warm heartedness to, in a way, embrace my suffering so it can dissolve. So, how do we do this? Let's try it. It's connected with the first meditation. Okay, and we can again adopt a posture that feels comfortable, allowing ourselves to bring awareness to the body or to the breath, whatever helps us to focus and relax. We release tension. We allow ourselves just to rest upon the awareness of the body or the breath, letting the body breathe naturally. And allow yourself to bring to mind a beloved one. It might be a person or it might be an animal. Someone for whom you feel naturally love. Someone who also gives you the same love. And just allow yourself to think about this person or animal, to recall experiences you've lived together. And from time to time, notice how you feel. And if you feel, again, love, allow yourself to feel this love. Bring to mind whatever helps you, memories, words. When you feel about this person or animal, let it infuse your body, your mind. Let it embrace you. But to keep it for yourself. Allow it to irradiate to this person or animal. At some point you wish the same with another person or animal. Allow yourself to feel whatever love arises, recognizing that it comes from you, from your best potential as a human being. You wish you can even imagine extending this to other people, animals, even strangers, embracing them with this warmth, filling the space. And from time to time, just rest, allowing yourself to notice whatever feelings have arisen. And recalling again that person or animal, the people, animals you love. Imagine all this loving kindness, warmth, friendship coming from all directions towards you. It's like if the entire universe were to embrace you. All the love, all compassion coming from all directions to embrace you. You can feel receiving all this energy from your beloved ones, even from strangers. Like light energy coming from everywhere, filling your body, your mind, activating your best potential, giving you the strength, all the conditions you need to fully connect with this potential. Like we did before, we can conclude wishing ourselves well, wishing ourselves all happiness, satisfaction, and the perfect conditions to live a decent life, to be able to develop our potential and extend this wish also to others. Your beloved ones, or if you wish, even to strangers. And in Buddhism, we are encouraged to develop our potential for loving kindness, compassion. We are not encouraged to sacrifice ourselves, our well being. We are not encouraged to do particular things. We are encouraged to connect with love, with our potential for love. And then how we act out of love. This will depend on the circumstances. In Buddhism, love it's not about pleasing others or doing what others want me to do. It's about connecting with this sense of warmth, appreciating the beauty of others, recognizing them as human beings who at the end of the day have also problems. They want to be happy, not to suffer. And then, out of this kind of mental attitude, act in a way that feels constructive, wholesome, and sometimes what it's the right thing to do is say, no, I'm not going to do what you want me to do because I will harm myself and I will not do this. Okay? So this is an important distinction about the concept sometimes we have about altruism, love, and compassion, which seems that it's more connected to the actions we do. You do something for someone, that's altruistic, an altruistic action. In Buddhism, that's not like this. An altruistic action is one in which genuinely we think about others. Because, and sometimes thinking about others, we tell them no. Being generous, to give something to someone because we want to manipulate this person, in Buddhism, it's not considered an altruistic action. To be considered an altruistic action, generosity has to come with a genuine wish to benefit the other person, not expecting something in return.
So, how is it going? Because we're recalling moments of love, we're connecting with things that we already know, we're trying to connect with this experience, but it's not that we right now are asked to feel incredible love for ourselves, for others. It's something that we build up slowly, slowly. And sometimes it's easier, others is not so much. So if you want to share anything at any point, just please do. Otherwise, we continue a little bit. Yeah? Okay. Yeah, Jennifer.
Hi, can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah,
Yes,
sure.
perfectly.
Okay, great. I was recently reading Radical Compassion by Tara Brach, and
Mm-hmm.
she was talking about the difference between compassion and empathy, which kind of remind me of what you were saying, like you can't
Mm.
like too much people pleasing is not good for either kind of person. But I felt kind of like a little depressed when I think about how much I love like my pets, because it's you guys were kind of talking about this before the class started, but like there are a lot of people I mean, we all have moments of being in trance, I guess, like, or be feeling disconnected or like,
Mhm.
so
Mm.
I guess that's really what kind of sort of made this feeling of like feeling a little bit depressed as well as feeling this immense sense of love.
Mhm.
It's like this disconnects between the two. So
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it happens. Actually, we're going there. We're going into empathy and compassion now. We wanted to talk a little bit about this, and maybe we take the opportunity to talk about this feeling love, and at the same time this disconnection with ourselves and with others sometimes.
Yeah, which
So
naturally
we'll go
connects, as
there.
you said, to
Yeah.
certain sadness. It's like
Mm.
we could be there, but we are not there all the time. And it's like we are lost. I don't know if it goes in this direction, no? But in my case, it's like, how can we be that lost when you have a pet or with a person, no? There's a genuine moment of love. It feels so easy, so natural. But in a way, it's like we don't know how to go back there. And you see other people, and it's kind of like universal, right? That's
Mm.
normal. It's something we have to deal with.
Yeah.
This is why compassion is also so powerful, because in a way we have to accept that that's life. We suffer, we experience dissatisfaction. I would say that we need, though, to be cautious and not to end up concluding that all is suffering and dissatisfaction. This is one thing we haven't mentioned, but when you train in developing love and compassion, actually, you saw the slide, you start with love. Love has a sweeter, softer taste. So you have the right conditions to then focus at suffering. Okay,
Mm.
but naturally we look at suffering.
Yeah. Love is to just be clear and repeat it maybe. Love is this wish, may I and others be happy and find the right causes for happiness and well-being. And compassion is more in the face of suffering. May suffering, mine and that of others, be relieved, be alleviated, and the causes of suffering also be diminished and not created more, not created more, right? So in compassion we really directly look at suffering, and sometimes this disconnection, what happens is because we suffer, we see this suffering, we don't want to suffer, is a kind of a survival mechanism that we disconnect. We don't want to look at persons, for instance, who have made us suffer, or to ourselves in moments of suffering, and then there's this disconnection within ourselves or with others. This is something that is addressed with compassion and wisdom. We don't get stuck in the suffering, and we don't respond to that suffering with disconnection or with rejection. We respond to that suffering and to this empathy. At the end, it's sometimes empathy that we feel for ourselves, for others, that brings us suffering. We respond to the suffering wherever it comes from compassion and wisdom. And it's important, this component of wisdom, because when we feel, may you be happy and may you be relieved, alleviated of your suffering, there's this connection with this person, but sometimes this person is acting in ways that they are harming. So we keep this this wish, may you be happy, may you not suffer, may you not make others suffer, create the more causes for suffering for everyone. We try to keep this wish, but then we bring wisdom, try to at least to bring wisdom in the way we act. And it's just what Hans was saying. Maybe the way we act is putting limits, but trying to keep this connection, this understanding for ourselves and for others, because otherwise we go into rejection, disconnection, and so on, and we add more suffering into it. We'll see this a little bit, yeah.
Anyway, it's gradual.
Yeah.
So at the beginning, we have to deal with
Yeah.
these ways of being. I mean, they are many of them related with survival strategies that are inbuilt on us. And what we are doing here, it's trying to put more energy on different kind of strategies that are also inbuilt on us that are related to our potential for care as human beings, as mammals. And that's a great thing. We have also inbuilt this potential which brings a deeper sense of well-being, satisfaction, whereas the other brings suffering, dissatisfaction. It might be good for a while. It might save our life when we are in a difficult situation, in a challenging situation. It might have been the best strategy we had to deal with suffering, with trauma, but we can do it better. But this requires time.
Is what we were saying yesterday. Remember, there is this reward or wanting system in our brains to get something, motivational system. There's also the fear system to get things done or to respond, or to react to things. And there's the caring system. And the fear system in the brain, this circuit goes into this, no? Because I fear suffering, I disconnect, I reject, and maybe it's survival for a while, but then it's creating far more suffering, and actually a lot of problems nowadays of depression, anxiety, addictions of all kinds. They come from this, from activating this kind of neural circuitry, which don't help. So we have this other one, this caring system, which is much more healthy. We need to cultivate it. It's not the first thing that comes, but happily and luckily we do have it, and we activate it in our lives, and we can use it more and more. So that's the idea.
And we can do it. We can do this with the techniques we are seeing. Having animals like dogs and cats, it's also an excellent way. Okay? That's like this is not written in Buddhism, because it's given for granted that we human beings have healthy relationships with other human beings. But nowadays, unfortunately, it's not like this. So it's good to highlight, and oftentimes because they don't judge us, they depend on us. They are kind of like more transparent. Animals do a great job in this sense, and this is wonderful. Sometimes I meet people who feel guilty because kind of like they don't feel this for human beings. But it makes sense. They didn't have nice experience in their childhood or at some point with human beings, and they feel safer with animals. That's perfectly fine. In Buddhism, that's fine. Whatever relationship helps you connect with loving kindness, with compassion, with your potential for warmth, and use it. Use it. Then the training, it's use this as the starting point to heal yourself with self-compassion, self-kindness, and try to extend this to other people, starting with the beloved ones, the people you care about, and slowly extend this gradually. So slowly you kind of like change your mind. You tell your mind human beings are not all of them a danger or to be avoided. Human beings also can be seen in a way in which there is kindness, but as Marina said, and this is extremely important, there should be wisdom. When we are children, this wisdom it's provided or should be provided by our parents and other adults, but sometimes it's not there. And now we have the opportunity to bring wisdom. And this is also something we need to develop.
So maybe we can go to empathy and compassion and then we go to wisdom. Since I got my dog Lucas, I have to say that I have less moments of falling into anxiety or depression. Yeah. And he teaches me a lot to be more present and loving.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's like that.
Absolutely. Definitely. And sometimes it's not even the animal that lives with you. Sometimes feeding the birds gives you this feeling also. It feels great. You give food to an animal and you see them coming back again and again. We are, in a way, that's our potential. We are loving creatures. We need to love others. It's wonderful. So if you find a dog or a cat that gets this love and gets happy about your love, that's so wonderful.
So let's look at it because it's quite interesting. There's some research, in quite a lot of research actually, in empathy and compassion.
Just briefly, we can define empathy as the ability to experience what others feel. That could be kind of like emotional, no? I feel your emotions, but also to understand their mental state. So maybe I don't feel your emotion, I don't feel your fear, but I understand that you have fear. And then compassion, with as Marina mentioned before, it's mental state that it's a genuine wish to relieve someone's suffering. You see someone you love experiencing suffering, and you want to do something. You wish to do something to relieve this suffering.
And even if you don't do, you wish that this suffering is relieved. And this someone can be yourself.
So briefly, because this is very important to understand, and then here we will see that our concept of compassion doesn't fit with the concept that science nowadays is using to describe what they describe as compassion, which is closer to the concept of compassion in Buddhism. Empathy allows to recognize all kinds of emotions. We empathize with the joys of others. We empathize with their happiness, but we also empathize with their suffering. So, because compassion focuses on suffering, now we focus on the empathy that helps us recognize other suffering. Well, this empathy, when the feelings that arise connected with this empathy are self-oriented, find a self-oriented perspective and emotions, it leads to empathic distress and a self-oriented action. What does this mean? What are we talking about here? Let's say I've experienced suffering which I was not able to manage. It overwhelmed me. So now I have fear of experiencing again this suffering. That's genuine, that's natural, it happens to all. It happens also to animals. And then I find someone, maybe it's a beloved one, who is suffering, experiencing suffering, that when resonates to me, feels like that suffering that I don't want. Because I was not able to manage, it left me a wound. And now I look at myself and I see again the same feeling happening. Do you get it? It's like I see you suffering and I see something I don't want for me because I don't know how to handle it. And the more I see it, the more I focus on it, and the more painful it becomes. What do I do? Naturally, I mean, not because I'm a selfish person, but because I cannot cope with this suffering, I turn away from the person. Okay? Imagine you are watching this on the news. You just switch the channel because you cannot handle this. This is empathic distress. This is natural, but this is not compassion. And sometimes some people think that this is compassion. It doesn't feel good. It exhausts yourself, and it pushes you to turn away from the person or the things that you are seeing because you are not able to handle it. So we shouldn't feel guilty if we experience this, and actually we experience this from time to time. In contrast, what is compassion? When because of circumstances, we are able to focus on the person or the animal, and even though there is some resonance of the suffering of the person or the animal, but this resonance doesn't overwhelm us. We focus on the other person. We focus also on trying to find a solution. So our mind goes there. This is empathic concern. I get concerned about the person. My interest goes to the person. This is compassion and leads or can lead to altruistic action. Sometimes the altruistic action is just noticing the suffering of the other person and animal and wishing that this person gets better. If the person is close to me, maybe it's just acknowledging the suffering of the person and asking the person, "Are you okay? Can I help you?" Sometimes that's the only action that we can do, but it's already a lot. Okay?
And when we speak here, this is research. This comes from scientific research. When here is mentioned or we speak about empathic concern, we're talking about concern, about the connection. You know how it is to suffer. You understand this suffering. There's this connection with this person. So this wish, the mind and the mental state goes into, may this suffering be relieved and the causes of suffering be relieved. So you move internally from suffering into hope somehow. Even if you know it's difficult, you might not know what's the solution to this problem or whatever, but you envision going there, right? So with this compassion is you connect yourself with the solution, not just with the suffering. It's like, may you be relieved, and you imagine this person be relieved of their suffering. You don't know when it will happen, how it will happen at all, even if it will happen, but your mind goes there into this relief of suffering, and you can imagine light, and you can express it with words. May this suffering be relieved, and very important also, may the causes of suffering be relieved in yourself and others. So you move from this difficulty into, this difficulty is still there. It's not that we don't want to see it, but we move from there into this state of hope, right? And this creates a different neuronal circuit than the one we saw before. This empathic distress brings more suffering. This empathic concern brings well-being into our mental state and activates circuitry, the neuronal circuitries of well-being. So we're not talking here, when we mention empathic concern, this is not worries. I worry about this person, preoccupation, worry, how it will happen, and so on. When this happens, we are thinking about this person, but we contact a lot with me, myself, how I will deal with it, it will happen with this fear again, so we need to move forward from this. And then how do we act? This is when wisdom comes along. At least we try, right? But up to here, we're talking about the mental state.
So here, compassion, it has a paradox. I notice, I feel your suffering, or I understand you are suffering, but at the same time, I feel great being able to help you. I feel great. And it's a paradox. And it's a paradox because even sometimes I'm helping you, and in helping you, I'm getting tired. Imagine, no, you need to help someone overnight and you don't sleep. Well, this is not pleasant, but there is a deeper sense of well-being. You feel good. It's like I feel good with myself. I did the right thing and it feels great. I'm exhausted. I'm tired, but I feel good. It's this kind of well-being. It's subtler. It's much more fulfilling, and it helps you overcome tiredness, and it empowers you.
This is if you go towards this compassion, not if you do it because you have to, and with this empathic distress.
So there's acceptance, and there's the taste of love. I do it because I care about you, and this is why I help you naturally.
And then wisdom tells you, let's go to sleep, or let's go for a walk, because you do need to recharge yourself. after something like this, right?
Or wisdom might tell you, I cannot help you. So I give you my support. If I can help you at some point, I will, but now I cannot. Maybe
Yeah.
I find someone else who can help you.
So this is very interesting because it kind of puts things pretty much into place. Is love, it's helpful. This as a mental state. I wish happiness and the causes of happiness for myself and for others. Sometimes it's more emotional, sometimes it's just more cognitive. This is something that is worth it. I know it. That's it. We don't need to feel absolute pleasure or connection or wherever. It's something that it's worth it. I know it is. It's a mental state. This is love as well. Compassion is this wish. May suffering be relieved and the causes of suffering be relieved and not created again. And this is inner strength. This is good direction. And sometimes we think, no, I need to protect myself, right? So I need less love. I need less compassion. And I like this perspective because it puts things into place. No, there's never enough love and there's never enough compassion understood in this way. What we're missing here, what is lacking here is more wisdom. You know, how to these mental states, they help us, but then how to bring this into action with wisdom as much as we can. You know, what do we understand by wisdom? Understanding our limitations, the limitations of others, our needs, the needs of others, bringing up this capacity of understanding that sometimes we need to say no, to build limitations, to move away, to relax, to say I cannot do anything else, to let go sometimes, and also the wisdom to understand that everything changes, nothing is permanent, this suffering will go away. There are many aspects into it.
So let's see some points summarized. But if you wish, the difference oftentimes between our concept of love and compassion and this concept from Buddhism and from science about love and compassion, it's a distinction between doing and being. We sometimes think of love and compassion and altruism as doing things for others, pleasing others, or removing the sufferings and the problems of others. That's compassion, right? I suffer with you. I take your suffering for me. All your problems, so I experience your problems. Well, in Buddhism, it's not about this. It's about being. It's about being connected with your potential of love, compassion, and then wisdom helps you decide which is the right action to do if there is an action that I can do. Sometimes wisdom tells you you have nothing to do, you cannot do anything, just relax, accept. You cannot change the life of others. Okay? So let's see this. So that's another thing. If we are talking about being, not doing, and this being feels good, this is why you have animals and you love them. Why do we limit it? Why we condition it to the presence of certain beings? If it's part of our potential and it feels good, and it's a source of well-being for ourselves, why do we limit it? In Buddhism, compassion as well as love, it's cultivated towards all sentient beings, which includes oneself. But again, it's not that we cultivate doing things for all sentient beings, sacrifice ourselves to do things for others, or forgetting about ourselves in a denigrating sense. It's we try to extend these feelings of warmth and care towards all sentient beings. Then,
would you say,
yes, please go.
Would you say that you need empathy to have compassion? I mean, if you're not an empathetic person for whatever reasons, then
Yeah.
Can you explain?
Here it's important to distinguish that empathy. Sometimes when we think about empathy, we think about emotional empathy. Mm-hmm. So there's people, and we all sometimes I don't empathize with your emotion, right? I have someone who is experiencing fear, and I'm not experiencing fear. This doesn't mean I'm not an empathetic person, but I empathize in a different way. I recognize you have fear. This is more cognitive. That's also empathy. But sometimes the definition or the idea we have about empathy, it's that I feel your pain. I feel it. And then I care a lot about you. It becomes very emotional. But there is this other empathy, which is less emotional, much cognitive. It's much connected with wisdom. And it's a kind of empathy that allows helpers to help someone who is suffering a lot. If you empathize emotionally, it might become overwhelming. But if you know that the person is suffering and you don't get too emotional, you can help the person effectively. When empathy becomes too emotional, there is a greater risk of this empathic distress. Whereas if you keep cold mind, no, it's like I know I could go there, but I don't go there because I will collapse. But I know the person is suffering, and I know what I have to do to minimize this suffering and try to save the life of this person, right? So it's important to understand this distinction because, as you said, some people might not resonate highly in certain emotions, but still they have high empathy.
Yeah, and we do need a basis of this in order for us to have compassion. Otherwise, it's very difficult to have this connection, this understanding of the other person. Yeah.
So yeah, that's a good point. So practices aimed at recognizing one's own suffering, its causes, and to remove this from our mind can be understood as self-kindness and self-compassion. In a way, this compassionate attitude towards ourselves and others, it's a healthy way to deal with suffering. And it's even healthier when wisdom leads it. If there is lack of wisdom, we might end up harming ourselves. Oneself, this is another important thing in Buddhism, oneself is seen as a carrier of the potential of becoming a Buddha. Buddha would be, if we have to describe it in a non-Buddhist way, would be a being who has fully developed his or her potential. And this infuses a sense of self-worth that goes beyond its conventional sense. We are carriers of this potential. This is why we started the meditation with this exercise, which it's very important to do it, to recognize that we have this potential, to focus on our potential of loving kindness and compassion, not to notice, to acknowledge the importance, how precious this is. It's probably the most precious thing we have, but sometimes we don't pay full attention to its preciousness. So it's very important to bring awareness to this. We might not be the most friendly person, the most popular person, the most interesting person, a smarter person, but we have the most important thing, which is this kindness and compassion. It's part of our potential. If we recognize ourselves there, we develop a sense of self-esteem, which is much more unconditional. It's closer to the sense of self-esteem we see in animals. And that fits the love we experience from a dog or from a cat. They look at us in a more unconditional way. We take care of them, and that's enough. They feel our love and compassion. That's enough.
So, and then we will meditate again. Maybe you can skip this. Not only we have this potential, but all beings have this potential, and this gives us a sense of common humanity that goes deeper and further than the conventional sense of common humanity. It's a way of being able to connect with others that is very helpful. If we look at ourselves from this point of view, we all have this inner potential. We all have these precious, marvelous qualities inside for love, compassion, feeling joy, contentment, inner freedom, wanting to help others, harmony, inner strength, and so on. But it's like the sun we were saying yesterday. We all have this potential. But also we all have these afflictions, these kind of clouds that are preventing us from seeing this light, are obscuring the nature of our deeper mind and qualities. But we recognize our reference moment by moment in our daily life usually goes more into the clouds, into these afflictions, into anger, irritation, a sense of low self-esteem, limited me, poor me, anger, and so on. We recognize ourselves more there than in our more deepest and precious qualities that we have, right? And this is not only me, it's all sentient beings. It's the same problem for everyone. So if we can get to recognize others from this point of view, it's easier to forgive them, it's easier to understand them, it's easier to connect with them, and then say no, maybe say no to this and that. But it's much easier to see the beauty in others and to be able to cope with what they do, to have better relationships, to feel more friendliness, or at least more understanding for others. We can try this in a meditation.
Well, this will come later.
Well, no, we can do later.
Just to clarify, because the concept of forgiveness also in Buddhism has a different taste. Okay, so sometimes it seems that to forgive someone, it means that whatever this person did, it doesn't matter.
No,
it was not important, right? Sometimes we have this kind of concept, like we condone the action or something else, that we have to express this to the person. We have to find the person who harmed us and tell the person, I forgive you. Which sometimes it's not a good idea, because if this person is still a harmful person and wants to harm me, the best thing we can do oftentimes is to keep distance. Here, if we talk about forgiveness, it's about letting go of resentment. Because when others harm us, there's resentment in our mind. And that's natural. I think about this person and I feel resentment because of the things that the person did. So when Marina said, acknowledging that we all do our best, we struggle to do our best, and some people sometimes, and we also harm ourselves, and we also harm others. Understanding this as part of human beings can help us do something which is very difficult, which is letting go of resentment. Acknowledging that the person did something wrong, harmed me, but then kind of like internally letting go of that resentment. It's there because it's harming me. In a way, this letting go of resentment is an exercise of self-esteem. I don't want this on myself anymore. This is why I want to let go of resentment, so that thinking about this person, it's not disturbing anymore. So that finding someone who seems to act in a similar way, it's not harmful anymore, because I have developed a sense of deep strength in which the actions of harmful people cannot hit me. And this strength, it's fed upon love, compassion, and it's also fed upon letting go resentment. But again, that's difficult. And in Buddhism, you are never told that you have to let go resentment. No. You have to forgive. It's like, think about it. Maybe it's a good business for you to start walking in this direction. Having said so, in Buddhism, when we deal with difficult things such as letting go resentment for the harm that others have done to us, we never start with the most difficult person. Never. We always start with the small conflicts.
Yeah, and it might help this view of looking at each other from this point of view that we were saying. We all have this potential. We're not using it because we don't know how to access it many times, right?
So let's meditate.
Yeah, let's do a meditation. So let's take a few moments to settle down. Just becoming aware of being here, in this place, in this body, in this mind. And maybe we can follow the breath for a brief moment if it helps us to settle down and to bring awareness into the present moment. And as we were saying, for us to be able to connect with this sense of love and compassion, we need to let go of resentment, because it will make it a bit more difficult to feel love and compassion if we harbor this resentment towards ourselves for something that happened, that we did, for some of our weaknesses and limitations, or resentment towards other people or something that they do, that they did, that they are. So we can take a few moments to think of some difficulties we have in this sense with someone or with ourselves. We usually don't start with a more difficult thing. So take this person towards whom you feel this resentment, these difficulties sometimes, or maybe yourself. Just notice this experience, this resistance that you have. Just explore some point of view that might help you let go, even if it is a little bit of this resentment. For instance, look at this person, how he or she, they want to be happy just like me. We all have our circumstances, our weaknesses. I do harm others sometimes, just like this person. If you wish, look at how they have this beautiful potential, but they are not accessing it because of their hopes and fears and worries and circumstances. So just take a few moments to look at these or whatever point of view that helps you. And if you reach some moment in which you can make some peace with this, even if it's a little bit, just stay there. And if you wish, you can wish him or her, may you be happy to find the causes for happiness, for well-being. May you overcome your afflictions, causes of suffering, your suffering, your dissatisfaction. May you find peace. Or myself. Let this be there for this person too, or for yourself as well. May we, by our energies, efforts, by this meditation, may we in our lives be able to move into this direction of understanding better each other. And may this be a source of peace for ourselves, for others, and in the world as well. As we were saying, by doing this kind of exercise, this kind of meditations, we gradually let go of resentment. Maybe we won't feel towards this difficult person, at least right at the beginning, we won't feel much love or compassion, but at least a little bit of more understanding and a little bit of letting go of this anger and bitterness within us. And this brings more peace in ourselves and in others, which is so much needed.
In a way, it's recognizing if we want to connect fully and more often with our potential for loving kindness and compassion. Anger, it's the opposite. So the stronger it's anger, hatred, resentment in our mind, the more difficult it's to connect with this potential. And therefore, at the end of the day, it's about how do we want to be. If we want to be loving, connected to loving kindness, compassion, we want to experience this as part of our being, we have to remove the obstacles. It's, as we said, we've been saying along this course, it's not about doing something out there. It's like recognizing that this is the best kind of a state, place in which I can be, and they remove the obstacles that prevent me to be there, connected with this potential. So, briefly, we mentioned already this, but it's good to summarize it. Compassion, but also loving kindness, does not entail pleasing others, fulfilling all their wishes and needs. It might be even unpleasant for those who are the recipients. For instance, when we put limits, or when we see an injustice and we try to stop the injustice out of loving kindness and compassion. Yeah, others might not like it, but if it's the right thing to do to alleviate suffering, we do it. And it's appropriate and it's in our capacities, of course. Compassion, loving kindness go hand by hand with wisdom, which leads compassion and also loving kindness to the best outcome possible, thinking in the long run. They neither entail that one should not take care of oneself or conclude that this is selfish, nor to let others take advantage of our willingness to act altruistically, sometimes even trying to make us feel guilty if we do not let them get away with it. Again, that's quite common. And it is important to keep to bear this in mind, so that if we give space to our altruistic potential of love and compassion, we also have this wisdom that kind of protects this potential from these kind of things. And there was something else we wanted to share with you. Well, this is a little bit more of the same.
Mm-hmm.
This is a quote from a Tibetan Lama, young Lama, Mingyur Rinpoche. Probably you know him. And this is to illustrate the benefits of meditating on compassion, understood as we have explained. And he says, when I began to practice meditation on compassion, I found that my sense of isolation began to diminish, while at the same time, my personal sense of empowerment began to grow. Where once I saw only problems, I started to see solutions. Where once I viewed my own happiness as more important than the happiness of others, I began to see the well being of others as the foundation of my own peace of mind.
It's beautiful. I love this one. It tells a lot of what compassion is and what compassion makes for you and for others as well. Mm. So far, so good. You want to share something? We continue then. Just we wanted to share because this is a very short course. We are just introducing some main topics here and doing some practice so that we can get a taste. And we will have this course in New York on September, in which we will expand on this. And one way of expanding and working with what we have been talking about is what is known as working with the four immeasurable attitudes, inner attitudes. The four immeasurable attitudes or mental states or thoughts is four inner capacities that we have that when we connect with them, there's more well-being for ourselves and for others. And they are called immeasurable because, well, we will see this now.
Yeah, let us share it on the screen.
Yeah, maybe
so
it's
you
easier.
can read it.
Yeah.
Well, so we already did. Well, this is another topic we haven't covered, but it's implicitly was there.
With the four immeasurables.
So these four immeasurables, they are known in Sanskrit as apramana, which has this connotation of of being immeasurable, or sometimes they are translated as Brahma Viharas, divine abodes, or the abodes of Brahma. It's kind of like illustrating that these are states, mental states, that bring you closer to the mind of a god. Okay, so
in the sense of something that is beautiful, is light, is great, is some of the best things that we can touch with our minds and hearts.
okay, what are these four immeasurables? They are oftentimes expressed in this kind of like prayer, which reads, "May all sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all sentient beings never be separated from the happiness that knows no suffering. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free of attachment and hatred for those held close and distant."
So this expression in the verse, may all sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness, this is what we have been talking about. This is loving kindness, is what we were calling love. Sometimes it's also called loving kindness. In Sanskrit is Maitri. We don't have a word for this because when we say love, maybe we understand romantic love or attached love or wherever. Is when we say love in this context or loving kindness, it's this expression that we were talking about. May you, may me, may others have happiness, and very important, the causes of happiness. This is not just short term, just an experience of right now. This is short, mid, long term. May we be able to go into this direction.
And as we said before, the measure that you have this in your mind is that you see beauty in yourself and others. Then the second line, it relates to compassion in Sanskrit and Pali Karuna. We didn't mention that, but Maitri in Pali, which is another Indian language, it's metta. You might have heard of metta meditation, right? Well, Karuna, it's what we've been referring as compassion.
And is expressed as this wish of relieving from suffering. And then there's another interesting one that goes hand by hand with love and compassion, which is sympathetic joy. It's very interesting because if we want to help a mind of love and compassion, is good that we bring joy into it as well. It's not a depressed mind. There's a strength, there's light, there's beauty, there's joy in this kind of minds. And this sympathetic joy can be expressed as, may all sentient beings never be separated from the happiness that knows no suffering. Is a way of kind of looking around and looking at oneself as well, and wishing us well, and wishing us to increase all these qualities, and to be in a state that there's happiness and no suffering. This kind of summarizes love and compassion, but also when we work with sympathetic joy, we train in bringing joy and rejoicing in the face of the good things that others have and that we ourselves have. Because otherwise, we were mentioning this yesterday, we have this tendency to look at what's going wrong, what's missing here, right? This is called negative bias. We have this tendency, but actually there are many things that go well in our life. We do have many qualities, others do have many qualities, others do many things that are good things, but they do one bad thing and wow, our mind goes there, right? So this joy is very interesting. One, because it gives energy to the mind, together with love and compassion, and second, because it makes a shift in this negative bias that we have. We do have plenty of things in our societies. We do have plenty of things, of connections, of possibilities, but we are dissatisfied, more and more dissatisfied, more depression, more anxiety, more stress. Why? Because we are lacking in this outlook, in rejoicing, in feeling grateful for what we have, in valuing the things that we have, in feeling joy at your qualities are my qualities, right? So this can be trained, and it's very interesting, and I would say very important that we train our minds in this as well. Otherwise, the alternative is irritation, dissatisfaction, envy, criticism, hardship for ourselves, for others, and so on. So it's a very interesting inequality, this one as well.
Sometimes it's called empathetic joy because it has to do with empathy. But here it's empathizing with the joys of others, with the healthy joys of others, okay, not with the unwholesome joys of others. And the last one, it refers to what in Sanskrit it's called, and also in Pali, upeksha, equanimity, an unbiased attitude, that an attitude towards others that it's not conditioned by attachment, by hatred. So we don't attachment here in relation to others, it's exaggerating the positive qualities of others. This is a tendency we have towards the beloved ones. We exaggerate their positive qualities and hide their negative qualities. And with the people we dislike, we exaggerate their negative qualities and we come blind to their positive qualities. And sometimes out of this, we are unfair. And also, if our mind is biased, then love cannot be unconditional, compassion cannot be unconditional, and joy also cannot be unconditional. So these four relate to each other, as Marina already started explaining. Loving kindness, it's considered a fundamental attitude in which one sincerely wishes oneself and others to experience lasting happiness. And here, this is important, lasting happiness. Here we focus not in any kind of happiness. Unwholesome ways of being happy are not here the focus. we wish others to be happy and healthy in a healthy way. We don't wish them happiness that comes along with suffering. Then karuna is a fundamental attitude in which one sincerely wishes oneself and others to be free from dukkha. Yesterday we saw this idea of dukkha. It includes dissatisfaction, all kinds of mental states that are not well-being. Marina already mentioned this. Mudita is the joy that one experiences when seeing the joys, success, and virtues of others. And equanimity is this balanced attitude towards others, avoiding seeing them through the eyes of attachment, aversion, or indifference. Yeah, Sheila, yeah, gave you the details.
So as you see, this is a huge topic. It's maybe sometimes we say love, compassion. We think just a little bit of more warm-heartedness, and of course this is it. But actually, when you go deeper into it, there are many aspects and many tools, many techniques that we can use, and that can be very helpful for us in our daily lives. And this comes from, as we were saying, from the contemplative tradition, from Buddhism, and from beyond this. And it has also been studied in scientific research. And we all go into the same direction that we do need this, both as individuals and as society, as much as we can.
And about the foreign, I'm sorry.
No.
And about the Four Immeasurables, there's something interesting. We already mentioned some of these things, but in the teaching of the Four Immeasurables, there is explanation of what the Four Immeasurables are, how to cultivate them. But there is a very important part of this teaching, which is what they are not. What they oppose, no? For instance, loving kindness, it's said to be the opposite of hatred. But there are things that resemble these four immeasurables, which are not the four immeasurables. And we already mentioned one of these things, no? This empathic distress. It looks like compassion, but it's not the compassion that it's referred to, for instance, in the context of the four immeasurables. And to understand well this distinction, it's extremely important so that we don't end up cultivating things that are harmful, like this empathic distress.
So maybe we can. You have any questions?
Yes, Sarah, please.
It's not a question, but I would like to share something about myself. So I understand all this theory, and I think in my day-to-day life, except at work, I practice this. I would say not one like no one is perfect, right? But I think I'm in the right path. That's what I'm going to say, and I practice it. Sometimes I do better, sometimes I do worse, sometimes I harm, as we mentioned, right? But I think I'm in the right path. But I'm struggling at work. I struggle a lot because I'm in corporate, and and especially here in the US, it's a very competitive environment. So there is a lot of hate, envy. So there is a lot of all these negative attributes. And I really struggle. And I tell to myself, okay, try to apply here what you do outside work. But it's very easy to fall into that pattern together with the rest, with the environment. And since I started this journey of diving more into Buddhism, I am questioning a lot myself, like, should I just quit corporate? So I just wanted to share. I don't, like, this is just like, I think I just need to keep reflecting and doing what I'm doing and meditating. But I just wanted to share my struggle. That's all. I don't expect you to solve my problem.
No, we cannot.
Or give me an
It's good to
answer.
share, right? Yeah, it feels good sometimes to to be able to share it to people who can understand. Yeah, you will see. You will see. At least if you fall, I would say if you fall into this, is normal. Conditions, they are so strong that they condition us so much. Is normal, but at least if there's a part of you that kind of goes there, but don't believe it that much, then you don't go there that much as others do. It's different. There's some kind of, you don't like it, but there's a distance there, and then you will see, no, if you can cope with this and continue there, or you have an alternative and you move towards there, or otherwise just accept that this is how it is and bring as much wisdom and love as you can, and then so be it. It's a training, right?
And I would say, yes, exactly. It's a training. So you are training yourself in difficult conditions. Imagine you are surrounded by kind people who never cause any trouble, who don't feel any hate. Well, actually, that's very nice, but there are certain things you don't practice there. You don't practice patience, letting go of resentment. It's just wonderful conditions. So we might have already realized that when difficulties come, sometimes it's when we learn the most. We don't like difficulties, of course, we don't welcome them, but we might have realized, even though we don't like it, that sometimes we've learned a lot out of difficulties and we have changed as persons out of difficulties. So, in a way, it's not ideal, and you have, as Marina said, to reflect. This is your own reflection. Maybe it's too much, it gets overwhelming, and then it's not good for you, right? Otherwise, you have plenty of opportunities to practice. And I would say something else. If the good people leave no corporations, and then we are left with the competitive ones, the aggressive ones. So, well, you don't have to sacrifice yourself. Maybe it's also about others, not buying the products of these corporations, right? If they are like this. Anyway, it's a complex problem, but these conditions might be also great for you to practice, right? So you can transform them, but you don't have to suffer excessively or sacrifice yourself because you practice. It's finding a balance, as Marina said.
And another attitude that might help is a little bit of sense of humor. Like kind of when you are able to look at yourself a little bit from above, like all running here and there, wanting things, and you can look at it with a little bit of sense of humor. This not easy, but it could be the fifth immeasurable attitude, maybe.
Yeah, sense of humor. Yeah. Anyway, it's a worry.
A little bit more lightness.
The good news, it's unbearable. So holding this competitive mind, hatred, envy, it's so painful for the person who has it. So painful, so oppressing. So sometimes I have the feeling that, and I've heard of people who has been in corporations and big in finances in the city in London, that somehow the people who work in these environments get trapped in these dynamics and they cannot escape. But when you speak to them, you talk to them in confidence, they are overwhelmed. They cannot bear it anymore. Some of them.
It gives energy, but at the same time,
it's
kind of an oppressive one.
So, and sometimes their lives get so complicated they cannot leave the corporation because they need the money to keep their living standard, and they are like prisoners of. So this also helps, no? When you are there, it's like, wow, poor them. It's such a disaster, right?
And in this case, I think this quality of empathetic joy can help, right? Instead of looking at we're doing this and this and this person has done this and that and this, you said a lot of envy. If you can transform this into empathetic joy, you have a very good tool there.
Absolutely. And there's another thing I've heard from many people about environments at work that were a bit bring your joy there. Maybe the people who's working with you they are not like this. They are very competitive and so on. But maybe the receptionist, she or he is very kind. make jokes, acknowledge his or her existence, and kind of keep this energy, at least with some people. With the people you find, you can keep this energy of good sense of humor, friendship, because also sometimes in this kinds of environments, if you manage to keep some friendship, sense of humor, some people also gets into the same mood, right? And you can have an impact, at least into some people.
Yeah. And not trying to be perfect. I
No.
mean, not trying not to get angry, and this is
And then
just doesn't work.
go
It
to
just doesn't
nature,
work. Yeah.
disappear.
So
I think
Sheila,
that, as you said, I think it's a good practice because it's not the easy environment. So it's just like that good practice. Yeah. Thank you.
thank you.
Sheila, please.
So I just had a thought. Would you say that the four immeasurables are kind of the antidote to self-cherishing, or one of the antidotes?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Definitely.
It opens up your heart towards others and towards yourself, because self-cherishing is about me, but is kind of a very encapsulated me, right? Whereas love, compassion, in this sense, it gives you kind of okay, I love myself, so I don't want to be for me all the time, or me, my things, my selfishness, and so on. So it opens up my heart just by looking at myself and my attitudes, and then when looking at others, it even opens it up even more. So yeah,
Let's say it solves the problem.
Yeah, it's much more
Because
inclusive.
yes, exactly. Because
yeah,
it's okay to cherish others. We understand it's okay. This is why we love other people, but we don't want to let go this self-cherishing, because we think that this is the best way to take care of ourselves. So the four immeasurables kind of like go in in the in the direction of the surprising solution, which is when you start bringing this mind of care towards others, you are also taking care of yourself, and it keeps feeding. It's like a positive feedback cycle that keeps feeding and more and more, and this is why you can let go of selfishness and self-centeredness, because you see that it's not a good business, that you get much more from attitudes like the four immeasurables.
and you can understand and love yourself even when you are in your little bubble. I mean, you're still very much egoistic or limited or wherever, but if there's love, you can cope with it pretty much much better for yourself, love for yourself, for others. So
Okay, so maybe we can conclude with a very short meditation, but just to we can bring awareness again as we started the session to the potential we have as human beings, which unfolds every day in small things such as genuine smiles, nice gestures to others. Those are small things that sometimes we don't pay attention to, but that make a huge difference. Just imagine not knowing what is friendship, genuine smile from someone else, or your dog or cat being happy when they see you, when they meet you when you arrive at home. We cannot buy these things. They cannot be produced. And that's a great news. They are part of us. Even though sometimes we are a little bit disconnected from this potential, it's always there, always manifesting. It's just about paying attention to it, appreciating it more, rejoicing in it, so that we can connect more and more with it. So we can conclude with a wish to keep walking in this direction. we don't start from zero. We are already walking in that direction. So we generate this wish to keep walking. So thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to share these things. It's always a pleasure. And well, if you wish, we see each other in person, which is always nicer, in New York City.
Thank you. Thank you, Hans
Yeah.
Maria, Sarah, Jennifer. Thank you for joining us. This is so simple and so complex. Every time
Yeah.
you hear
Yes.
these things, you gain
Yeah.
something new and add a new layer. So thank you. Yeah, it was quite
Yeah.
fascinating.
Thank
And
you.
I have a question. So the 3 days workshop that you will do in New York will be around this same topic?
Yeah.
The Four Immeasurables, yeah.
Okay. So it will be like a more elaborated, like, but around the same topic.
Yes,
Okay.
Yeah.
with more meditation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you
sure.
will do it in the Shantideva at Brooklyn? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll
Are
check
you
the
in the New
dates
York
too.
area, Sarah?
I'm in New Jersey.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And by the way, I'm from Barcelona.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I'm from
we were
Spain.
wondering. Yeah, okay.
We are from there too.
Yeah. I was wondering. I was going to say you're Spanish.
That
I'm from
accent.
Barcelona. You're
We
Catalan.
can,
Wow.
yeah, I'm Catalan.
Molt bé.
Nice meeting you.
Okay.